Are you garbage? What does your mom and dad do? I kind of feel like you came from a little cash.
Yeah, my dad
Yeah,
and his
see,
brothers
all right.
started a trash company.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
so they had a trash company and then they sold it. And when I was like, I guess like 9, and then they started doing demolition. So
Yeah, because I knew you were in construction. I remember you were doing construction at some point. I remember that.
yeah, I'm Prince of Trash.
Prince.
They had, yeah, they had like my grandfather had a small cardboard recycling business, and then he also would do shit. He was like a huckster. He would like go buy a bunch of groceries and like sell them to people, like his neighbors. So he did that and had a cardboard
Gouging people on eggs.
Yeah. Listen, the $2 at the store, the 202 here.
The eggs are $8.50 and you only get 11. What the fuck?
Yeah, so he did that, and then he was kind of like a hustle man. He did like a bunch of weird little things, but he had a cardboard recycling company. And then my dad and his brothers worked for him when they were younger, and they started into like an actual full scale transfer station. You know where Harrah's Casino is in Chester?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That used to be McCusker and Sons, the transfer station. But
Oh,
they sold the company, and then the company they sold it to sold the land to Harrah's.
Ah, so you're one step away from fucking cash.
I know.
That's retirement. That's like generational wealth there you would have.
What was funny was they because my dad and his brothers all grew up like middle class, we're like lower middle class, one of like 10 kids in Havertown, and born to a huckster. And so when the guy who bought the company off them was Wayne Hazanga, who he was the guy who owned Blockbuster. He owned the Miami Dolphins.
Oh shit, yeah.
He went to my dad and all his brothers. And he's like, "How much do you guys want for this?" And they wrote down what they thought was like "fuck you" money, because they didn't want to sell the company. So they thought they were writing him like he was going to see it and be offended. And the guy was like, "Not a problem." They were
he's like, "I got that on me."
Oh, fuck. Yeah, so they're like, shit.
I forgot a zero.
We need $2,000 more. Just $2,000.
So they thought they were hitting him with a number. This guy would be like, "Fuck you guys, I'm out of here." And he was like, "That's not a problem. I can arrange that today." And they were like, so.
And this is when you were young.
Yeah, I was little. I remember one day my dad came home in a Navigator. It was a red Navigator.
Ooh.
And he was like, "Things are going to be different." And I was like,
Really?
Yeah, he was kind of, I was like really little and I was riding around and he was like, "I made a lot of money. We sold the company." And I was like, "That's what's up." And he's like, "Yeah, man." And I was like, "Cool.
Got this sweet red navy. Now hop in. Let's fucking go, kid.
Now let's go. Make with the power wheels, old man, huh? I want a race car bed.
That does show like the blue collar trashiness in your dad, that he made a bunch of money and went and bought a red Navigator. Who does that, dude? That's like out of a rap video.
Yeah, his life has been like keeping my mom in like ridiculous That was like he bought my mom in like a diesel Excursion for a while there. It was ridiculous, dude. Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's pretty
That's
bad.
wild, dude.
Yeah, so that was like the turning point. Before that, we were bopping around we had the conversion van with like the 4-inch TV screen. So that was
fucking
that was
clean
balling.
living back in the day, dude.
I thought we were already balling, then he hit me with the Navi, and I was like, okay. Okay.
This guy's caked up.
It's like, "Where do we watch Godzilla?" He's like, "We can't watch Godzilla in this car." And I was like, "That sucks."
Dude, my buddy used to have the conversion van with the TV, and we would go sit in the driveway and just watch TV. And I thought I was the richest man in the world.
Yeah, second house, dude. That's amazing.
Yeah, dude. Turn that back seat into a bed and fucking chill out for a little bit.
For sure.
Wait, did he have the kind of cash though when he sold the trash business that he could have just chilled? Why did he get into the demolition business?
This is the mystery, because this
just
is
a go-getter.
So I obviously come from an enigma. I have no idea how much money my parents, they don't tell me. My mom's been trying to convince me we're poor ever since, because my mom grew up pretty, relatively poor, and it was like a single parent. Her dad was a janitor. And she would like come in even after all this shit happened, like the air conditioning would be on in June, and she'd be like, "Turn this off, we can't afford this." And my dad would be like, "Just
you see the Navigator? What the fuck you talking about?"
That shit drives me.
She had that shit in her head. She grew up like that, so she was like, "Oh shit, we're gonna get a big bill and someone's gonna freak out." So I was growing up with my dad balling out of control, my mom convincing me I'm poor. So like, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Well, she didn't mind driving around that fucking diesel Excursion though. She didn't complain about that.
You sound like my dad.
I'll tell you what you got to do is you go over there one night. You say I'm gonna stay over, have dinner, maybe get a little wine in them. Then once they go to sleep, start rooting around through their bills desk. Yeah, just start looking for a checkbook real quick. See if you see any estate planning.
Yeah, a couple of chase statements.
Yeah, I think they're fine. I think they're totally fine. But yeah, I think that's what I think it was. Is I worked for an electrician who told me like your dad could have chilled. I don't know why the fuck he works. And yeah, I was like, I don't know. He just likes to do stuff, but he also does like to just get out of the house.
Yeah. That's I come from same thing, blue collar. My parents, in the 90s made a little bit of cash. We moved to the suburbs and then it was all squandered away eventually. But that's I mean, like terribly squandered. It was all my dad was running an air conditioning Ponzi scheme, I think at one point. Awesome. And it all came crumbling down. But that's such a blue collar thing when like other blue collar workers know what other blue collar workers have. Like the electrician's like, your dad could have retired. He squandered a small fortune. They gossip, dude. Fucking the trades gossip. Like they all know who's making what.
Well, yeah, if you don't pay a bill, it's like everybody in a 5-mile radius knows. Like, you didn't fucking pay me for that thing I did. Yeah, and it's pretty crazy, man. But yeah, that was kind of that was the deal. It was like my mom's like, we're poor, and my dad was like, I think I'm gonna buy another motorcycle. Like, all right, I guess I'll just go get a job.
Oh, this is great. Your dad's like fucking Ricky Bobby.
It was you. Dear Lord, baby Jesus, thank you for the trash business.
He also has like, I think my whole family from the McCusker side are all like slightly autistic too. So like he'll get into shit. So like he got into like rollerblading.
What?
he's also like at this time he was probably like 250 or 60 pounds because he got rich and got fat immediately. He was fat. He got fatter.
That's great.
So he got rich and like immediately almost touched 300. And he's like 6 feet. So he immediately got fat as fuck. Then he's like, I got to scale this down. He quit drinking. Because that was his triglycerides were like, I think triple of like a normal human being. So he had to chill with that. So he took up rollerblading. So he would just get into shit. Like he got into muscle cars, did that, and then like just ditched that. And then he got into like rollerblading. He hit his elbow, so he quit rollerblading.
Muscle cars to rollerblading? What the fuck?
Talk about a downward move.
Yeah. I think his accountant was like, all right, dude, let's go to rollerblading. And then
looking over the books here, and
Then he got into bicycles, and so his basement is just like there's 35 like 1970 Schwinn. So he'll find Schwinns in the trash because he still does trash, and then he'll fix them up. So then we have like just literally 30, 40 bicycles in our basement.
That's a cool little hobby, though. That's all right.
Yeah, well, that was his first job when he was little. He used to fix bicycles when he was like.
That's pretty good then.
You ask him, he's like, I was like 6 and I was fixed. I was like, dude, fuck you. You're probably 14. Like,
yeah.
Now I don't want to sound naive here, but this sounds like a pretty big, trash company. Yeah. Doesn't those businesses tend to fall to a certain group of people?
So, and this is what happened though. So when they did McCusker and Sons was operated in the middle of Chester during the crack epidemic. So like they were already like they had guns. Like my uncle would get he got jumped a couple of times, and like they had a people would break in constantly, and then like with trash, there's scrap metal, so they would like pat down employees at the end of the day. It was insane, but they had a guy. So they let a homeless man, this guy called Time Bomb Tom, would live in the trash yard.
TBT, my man.
He was nuts. So he would hang around. So they were like, "Look, man, we'll buy you a trailer." He's homeless. So they bought him a trailer and gave him a security guard outfit. So he would walk around all day patrol.
Thinking he's the shit, too.
He was nuts. So he would call my dad at 3 a.m. like, Kevin, they broke in. Kevin, they broke in again. I got them. I shot one.
Oh, my God.
He didn't do anything. But he would so my dad would rush down there and he would event these big break-ins to tell my dad he was earning his keep. It was so fucking funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that was great. Yeah, it was a big trash company. And they brushed up with the mob a couple times. People would steal dumpsters. That was a big thing. They'd steal your dumpsters.
Yeah.
You'd find out, so you'd have to deal with it. But no, he said they had a couple people. I think the way I'm trying to phrase it in his language, a couple of Goombas try to shoulder up to him, elbow up to him a couple times, and he told him to fuck off.
Yeah. He rollerbladed away?
Yeah, he because that's the other thing too. It's like, you have a family-owned trash business, so you can get rid of any. So if you were to try to kill somebody, you easily can. If you own an
you can make that
excavator-
body disappear real quick.
Yeah, if you own an excavator and a trash company, and the only people that work with you are your brothers, you can totally kill people and get away with it. So, and he was kind of he had one of his friends was kind of tied in. R.I.P. The guy just died recently, but he was his dad had been kind of tied into some organized crime stuff. So like they like knew, it was like that whole I don't know if the whole Ridley Park mob families thing. There's like a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
So he didn't like. He's like, I don't do that shit. I'm a hard worker, but. So he was like, but that element was definitely around, man.
Yeah, I can imagine he probably had to, sidestep a couple of things and deal with some shit like that.
Yeah, he had to go to court one time when I was little. I remember him mentioning something about RICO charges, and there was someone that he knew got brought in on RICO charges, and they had to ask him
questions or something.
Yeah.
Jesus
That's
Christ.
fucking awesome.
Dude, the trash business in the 80s and 90s and fucking Delco, what the fuck?
He's leaving, your mom's hanging out the window. You don't tell him nothing.
Yeah, well, it was crazy because back then, too, it was like in order to have a transfer station, they only back then it was like the Wild West. It was like anyone could have a trash company, but then the transfer station, you needed to come up with some sort of money. So that's why him and all of his brothers put all of their houses, they took mortgages out on all their houses and just rolled the dice on the transfer station, and it worked.
Fucking love that. That's
so if it
great.
didn't work, it was like, it would have been a whole different story for the McCusker family, dude.
You'd be doing security at somebody else's fucking trash dump.
No, it was awesome, man. I remember being little, like when I was like 9 years old, I would go to work I would sit in a trash truck with him, and I would just listen to CB radio all day long of different truckers talking.
Yeah.
I would hear, it was just slurs constantly. So I'm like, Dad, what does that mean? He would be like, that's what they call Indian guys. Don't tell your mom that. Like, all right. And then I'm like, what's that one? He's like, don't tell anybody that one. You can't say that. And then I would get out of the truck from like learning slurs all day. And then he would let me shoot rat. They had a big warehouse where they would turn the lights on, and then rats would scatter. So you could sit there with a 9mm, turn the lights on. As soon as the rats started running, it was just you're blasting rats.
What? You were doing shit?
I think I saw that game on the boardwalk in Wildwood, actually.
So you would shoot rats, and then you go in the trailer where like they had the computer when trucks came in. You got to weigh them and see how much they came in with and how much they left with. That's how you measure the load. And my uncle would just open a drawer. It was all beef jerky. And I was like, dude, this fucking rules.
Yeah.
I was like heaven. I would kill a rat, learn a slur, and then eat beef jerky and be like, all right.
Dude, nothing's better than that.
You are the fucking Prince of Trash. That's fucking fantastic.
By the way, that's the title of the episode, Prince of Trash. It's so funny because one of the questions that I came up with was going to ask you is, you ever been to a scrapyard? But I didn't know you were scrapyard royalty. So
yeah.
And it was just you and your brother growing up?
No, I'm one of 6. So my dad's
one of 6.
My dad's one of 10. I'm one of 6. And then the funny part is once the trash money started getting nice, my dad and his brother, this is before they sold the company, they bought a bunch of land out in Garnet Valley before anyone lived out there. And there was these guys living out there who they think they were out there making meth, but they were burying trash, which is illegal. You're not allowed to do that. You can get in a lot of trouble. So my dad, not knowing my dad and his brother all owned a trash company, they went out there and they were like, look, man, we went here with a property inspector. You're burying trash out here. I don't know what else you guys are up to out here, but like, we'll buy it off you, but we're going to buy it off you for super cheap. Otherwise, we're going to tell people that you've been burying trash out here because it's going to cost us a lot of money to get rid of it. What are we going to do with all this trash? So they kind of like weaseled these guys out of being like, look, you bury trash out here. It's going to cost us a lot. And they just removed it for free and got all this land out there for, cheap.
Your dad's sitting there like, what are we going to do with all this buried trash? And meanwhile, there's like 15 trucks just waiting at the end of the driveway.
How was the meth? How was the meth? Did anybody get a taste?
I never tried it, man. There was this weird little shack. There was like this weird shack up there. It was weird, man. There was so like my dad and his brother had this property, and then they had this guy, I guess, who had already been living there, or I don't know what happened, but this other guy who's a trucker. So there was like, my uncle was here with his family. They had 10 kids. I was next door on this one piece of land with 6 kids, and we would all play. But then there was this guy who lived up the driveway from us, who was a trucker who like had raccoons as pets. It was fucking weird, dude.
Christ, dude.
We would like go and we would feed his raccoons Urkel cereal. I remember that. And then like we would walk on his fence. He didn't like us crossing his fence. And we'd be like, fuck you, Bernie.
Dude, I would have never guessed this background for you in a million years. That's fucking wild.
Crazy. I grew up kind of on like a cousin compound of like 20 people. And with like, I remember finally seeing a cop like when I was like 14 and being like, holy shit, there's a cop out here. It was like completely, you do whatever the fuck you wanted. Yeah, it was awesome.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, that's some fucking hillbilly new money shit if I've ever heard it
Yeah,
in
yeah,
my
it's pretty
life.
cool, man. It's pretty. Well, it's been cool though, because I got to like, I got to go to college, and I've met people. I've worked with people my whole life who are like in construction. So if you work construction, you're working mostly a lot of times with felons
Sure.
or just like the sons of the boss who are like a different kind of class.
Yeah.
I've got to meet a lot of people of like people who work at a scrapyard versus like people of generational wealth at a college. So it's definitely been weird.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that's some trippy shit. 1 of 6 too.
1 of
Fucking
6, right in the middle.
McCusker's doing a little fucking. I like it.
Yeah, my dad's 1 of 10, and every one of his sisters. Yeah, every one of his brothers or sisters have typically at least 5 kids.
Is it all you guys all Irish Catholic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
My mom's 1 of 9. We're like fucking ticks.
Yeah.
Dude, that's insane.
Yeah, man, that was the genesis. So that's how I grew up.
that's the origin story right there.
Yeah, man.
And it was really kind of like my mom would wake me up. She would wake us up at like 8 a.m. and be like, get out. So then I would go outside into like a Lord of the Flies setup with all my older cousins. And like, dude, that was like, it was insane, man. We used to play a game where me and my cousin would just run through a field, and my older cousins would just throw like various balls at us. It was like,